Want to use a PGR in your cereals but have no time for a separate pass? Manipulator PGR can be applied as early as 1 tiller. Just add it to your herbicide to reduce lodging, increase harvest efficiency, and maximize yields. Talk to your retailer for more info and to confirm acceptable tank mixes.
Hi, I'm Bernard Tobin. Welcome to Real Agriculture. Today I'm in Middlesex County, catching up with Meghan Moran. How are you?
I'm great.
Awesome. Now, Meghan, you are the canola and edible bean specialist here in Ontario. I want to talk canola today. We have an amazing winter canola field behind us.
Right.
Something we're seeing more and more in Ontario. But hey, let's talk about canola in general, a little bit about the history of this crop and I guess the size and scope of it.
Yeah, in Ontario we have about 45,000 acres of canola each year, and about 1/3 of it is winter canola, and the majority of the spring canola is in our northern districts, sort of north of the Muskokas.
Yeah.
But in 2019 we had about 500 acres of winter canola, and then since then it's been increasing every year. So 2022 planting year we had about 12,000 acres, and planting intentions were a little higher for this past fall, but we had a lot of rain, so we're still at around 12,000 acres of winter canola right now.
Yeah, but growing pretty quickly here, and I want to talk about why. I mean, there's a buzz about winter canola in Ontario, and yield is part of that story, and so is, I guess, the variety that people grow.
Yeah, that's right. So a lot of growers I've talked to have said this has been their most profitable crop, and there are a couple of reasons for that. Prices were really strong over the past few years, and some growers are able to double crop soybeans, which makes it really attractive. But yeah, we just have a great variety, good overwintering success, and strong yields across a lot of different regions in Ontario.
What type of yields are we looking at, Meghan, from a...
Yeah, the average is around 3,600 pounds, or just around 70 bushels. That's kind of the goal. There are plenty of growers achieving higher yields than that. I hear a lot into 80, 85 bushels, so around, I guess, 4,000 pounds. So it's often almost double what we see in spring canola.
Right. Let's talk about this variety, Mercedes. Growers been growing that for a number of years. That really is a key to the success here, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. Mercedes is actually older genetics, and it is a hybrid. So historically we were growing open pollinated. This is a hybrid, but it doesn't have any herbicide tolerance traits. So it's a conventional non-GM variety, but globally known as a really strong overwintering variety, and that's what we need here in Ontario.
Yeah.
And also strong yields. So
yeah.
We're very happy with its performance.
And only registered in Ontario, right? Here
yes,
in Canada.
That's right. We do have a registration process, and we have to collect merit criteria, and Mercedes met all our criteria, but is only registered for sale in Ontario.
Let's talk about where winter canola fits in the rotation. And I think part of that is when it's planted and when it's harvested.
Yeah, that's right. So we have to plant this crop either in August or September, depending where you are. And so, it's really only after winter wheat. That's the only kind of availability we have, or after an oat crop. There's some growers that may have like fresh peas that come off earlier, but we have a lot of herbicide restrictions with bean crops. So primarily after winter cereals, and then after we harvest our canola, we're either seeding double crop soybeans, or maybe a cover crop of oats, and then following with corn in the spring. Some growers will follow winter canola with another winter cereal or another cereal in the spring.
Now, Meghan, a key to the success of this crop is that fall planting, and that's also a key component of Mercedes, right? Because you can plant it early, and this is one of the only varieties that doesn't bolt.
The concern with winter canola is if you plant it too early, it'll bolt and go into reproductive stages in the fall, and then it'll die in the winter. And that's something we saw historically in Ontario, but I've been told that Mercedes has a vernalization requirement. So just like our winter wheat, it needs a cold period to go into those reproductive stages, meaning it won't bolt in the fall. And that's what we've observed, and we're quite happy with that.
Yeah.
Not all varieties have a vernalization requirement, and for sure some varieties that Dr. Eric Page has tried at Ag Canada and Harrow, if he plants them too early, especially down there where it's warm, they will bolt in the fall.
Now, I've talked to some growers, and they said, hey, it could get pretty tough in the winter, and it kind of looks like hell, but it comes through.
Yeah, it can be pretty scary, especially if you've not done it before. But in the spring, it can look pretty bad. So sometimes all the leaves rot off or turn brown. Sometimes it's entirely purple, and you're wondering if it's dead. But as long as that growing point is green and healthy and not rotten inside, then usually it's fine. I've talked to a breeder at Kansas State, Michael Stamm, and he says that the best success is when we have a lot of biomass coming out in the spring, or sorry, coming out of the winter, and then it gets going quickly, has lots of sun capture with those leaves. But we've seen, that's definitely true, we've seen that, but we've seen all kinds of different things in the spring and still had success.
Let's talk about the keys to success, especially going back to planting. I mean, what's the planting window, and how important is it to hit that window?
Yeah, that's right. All the keys to success with this crop a lot of them involve that planting window and seeding into good conditions. So in terms of seeding date, we need about 600 growing degree days before your first fall frost, so which is more than winter wheat, right? I think we're around 450 growing degree days with winter wheat. So that'll help us get enough growth to survive the winter. And like our spring canola crop, we need, good seed to soil contact, and we like to recommend tillage because residue harbors slugs, and we've had a lot of issues with slugs in the fall in this crop as well.
Yeah, so growers are always, considering weed control and herbicides. But one thing is, and you mentioned pests, because it's a winter canola, it does beat some of those spring pests, right?
Yeah, that's right. We have the risk of winter survival, I guess, in Ontario with winter canola, but in spring canola we have a lot of insect pests that pose a significant challenge and an economic challenge too with insecticide costs. So we don't see flea beetle at around planting time with this crop. They're already moving to their overwintering sites. We don't sweet midge can reproduce on winter canola, but it's not going to impact yield because it's already at this, sweet midge haven't even emerged yet and we're already bolted and flowering. So yeah, sometimes we see cabbage seed pod weevil, but otherwise lower insect pest risks in the winter crop.
Let's talk about, I guess, as we move through the season, we're heading for harvest, that timing. A lot of Ontario growers are harvesting wheat, and here we are with canola. Is that one of the challenges?
Yeah, it is for sure. When we first started growing winter canola, we thought it would be harvested before wheat, but often it's coming off at the same time. And so that is definitely a challenge for some producers depending on what kind of equipment they have. And sometimes that winter canola is standing a little longer at the end of the season than we like. So yeah, that's one of those challenges. And then in kind of the northern part of our winter canola growing region, we got to get that weed off and get canola planted right behind it. So some of our winter canola has a birthday, is in the ground for 1 year here.
So one other thing to think about, planting corn after canola.
Yeah, we know that can be a risk. We've talked about it, in our spring canola crop too, but with winter canola, we have time after harvest to plant something else. So that's all we really need to do is grow something between the canola and the corn to get that mycorrhizal fungi going, and then we won't see that phosphorus deficiency issue in corn. So yeah, arbuscular mycorrhizal fungi, your double crop soybeans are a good host, or a cover crop of oats basically mitigates the problem. So we're fine with winter canola, then a cover crop of oats, and then growing corn.
Final question, Megan, that is about the potential of this crop. As you said, we're seeing more and more of these acres pop up, more and more fields. What's the potential for growth here, and I guess the opportunity for growers?
Yeah, I think there's a huge opportunity for this crop in Ontario. We're growing winter canola in Essex County in the south, even on Peely Island, all the way up to Barrie, from Bruce County all the way east to, as far as Gananoque and maybe a little bit in Renfrew County. So lots of acres where we're having success with this crop. And there's, some support behind the crop. ADM is very interested in local acres and are providing support to growers with things like meetings and information, and even making delivery a little easier at their facilities in Windsor and maybe some other delivery points in the future.
Well, great stuff, Megan. Hey, thank you for coming out and catching up with us on Real Agriculture, and looking forward to seeing more winter canola acres and fields like this in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. So am I. Thanks, Bernard.